I don't think that destroying your local community and destroying the businesses of your local area and destroying other fellow civilians' property does anything.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what's making sense. Now I get you, because some people will be affected even though they haven't done anything wrong. That's the only problem I also have with whatever is happening right now. Because, yeah, some people will get the business destroyed. And it's even worse because of COVID-19 also is happening. Yeah, for that point, you're right.
Hey guys, so this week marks actually the 3-year anniversary of George Floyd. And I feel that now is a good time to sort of remember the fact, because we so often and so quickly forget that left-wing terrorists, this time 3 years ago, were burning down the country, destroying everything in sight, and just straight up beating people and killing people in our streets. And this was a very mainstream and normal thing that, let's also not forget, was defended and justified by very mainstream figures in liberal media and in the Democratic Party. And we so often forget this because the entire summer of 2020 was memory hold, and I don't want that to happen. And so this week we're going to be sharing a lot of older content and older clips and discussing this stuff of what actually happened, lest we not forget. Well, on that topic, I was going through some of my old videos from this time 3 years ago, and I actually found this debate between me and a BLM supporter over the issue of riots. Around this time, 3 years ago, I went out and said, you fools who are rioting and destroying stuff, you're not doing anything that's productive. You're destroying your communities, this and that. And a lot of people took issue with that. A lot of people justified the quote unquote mostly peaceful protests. And this was one such debate. And I feel like just as a throwback of content, and so that we can remember what it was like at this time 3 years ago, today I'm just going to be sharing the video of that old debate. Now, a few disclaimers before we do it. Keep in mind, this was 3 years ago. This was literally just, I think, days after George Floyd had died. And so, I mean, keep that in mind. I was a lot younger here. There are probably some viewpoints in this debate that I would not express today, but I was in high school, so like, what are we going to do, right? But I think overall, this was still a very good debate, and, you know, check it out. Here you go. Here was me in 2020 debating a supporter of the BLM riots.
I want to say thank you for actually like being willing to debate about this, because I've gotten into it with a lot of people in the comment section, and I've offered to do this, and you know they haven't been able to. They haven't said yes. Oftentimes they say no. So I will say I genuinely appreciate that you're willing to like come on live and like talk with me about
Sure.
that. So for the people who are watching and like want to know the context of this, so I made a video yesterday where I basically presented the choice between law and order with occasional injustices, what I deemed occasional injustices, or the complete lawlessness and anarchy we have in our streets right now. And you had a disagreement, Mo, so you can go and get started. I guess we'll just start.
Actually, for me, whatever is happening right now, I take it for good. I'm like, this is a good thing for people to be aware of what's happening. I know violence is everything. Whatever is happening right now, it's bad on a way because people get hurt and stuff. But because they've been protesting, they've been doing all of this, nothing happened. Government didn't do anything. People just, sometimes social media, people do post, right? There's hashtag, they do stuff. But at the end of the day, you don't feel like things are changing. But think about it. Now it's getting worse. People are actually burning buildings. And Donald Trump is talking. That nigga has been, that guy has been quiet for so long. Okay, maybe he was talking. I didn't know. But because of now it's getting worse, he's talking. And just see it as it's not going to be a world war or something. Those violence they will definitely stop. But for now, I don't tell them to stop anything like that. But we make sure whatever is happening right now won't happen again. This all I wanted to say.
Okay, well, so you say that the government didn't do anything about this, but this was on Wednesday when the issue reached national prominence. So within hours of the issue already reaching national prominence, the city of Minneapolis was already neck deep into an investigation into the incident. All 4 cops were fired, and the president of the United States announced that he would be ordering the Department of Justice and the FBI to get involved in an expedited investigation into the case, which is an unprecedented standard of just investigation in terms of such a small scale incident. Getting the Department of Justice and FBI involved like that is not very common. So it was a proof that the government was taking this issue extremely seriously. And if you want to talk about, well, people didn't really know until the riots. Well, actually, a lot of people knew before the riots. Before the riots started to get bad, unanimously, left and right, conservative and liberal in this country were completely on board with the fact that George Floyd was wrongfully murdered. And now, actually, the fact that these riots occurred have actually distracted national spotlight from the actual killing of George Floyd and now are on the focus of the riots. But if you want to say, oh, well, the government really hasn't done anything and that's why these riots happened, that's really not factually true. I mean, if you just look at the timeline of what happened, the government was on this issue and trying to solve
Then
it.
wait.
Yeah.
Why it didn't stop then? If the government actually takes serious measures, I don't see why it didn't stop. If from the beginning, if the government actually did real stuff to make it stop, why did we have that? I don't see why.
Well, real stuff to make what stop exactly?
I mean, those police violence. I just call them police violence.
Mm-hmm.
I had things like someone gets shot or whatever happened to the person because he was jogging. Do you get that?
Okay, so I'm having a hard time hearing you. So what you're saying is that like this shouldn't have happened in the first place, right? That's what you're saying essentially.
Yeah, it shouldn't have happened exactly.
Yeah. So I okay. Go ahead.
And wait, did you know that they said the policeman, that guy were actually knowing each other before, right? They've been working at the same place.
I've sort of heard about that. I don't know if that's true or sort of a conspiracy theory. So we're gonna like just not dwell on that right now.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
But keep going.
But you know what I want you to get is, regardless what is happening right now, this is a good thing to make sure this scenario doesn't happen again. After this, there will be before this and after this. Before this, we had this. Now, because this is happening, after this, you won't be seeing such, I'm sure. Maybe, actually, you don't know human beings. People are so bad. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just shocked at how people don't care about other humans' lives.
Okay. Well, I would disagree. And actually, you sort of conceded to me the point that I'm about to make, which is that if you want to talk about this incident should have never happened, I agree it should have never happened. But what we need to realize as a society is that regardless of how much and this is true in any country, in any society, regardless of how much we try to weed out, to stop people from murdering each other, the bottom line is on occasion that is going to happen. What I am concerned about and what I care about is that the people who do bad things and commit crimes in our society are being brought to justice, because that's a tenet of a civilized society. You're never going to be able to stop there's always going to be some bad cops out there. There's always people in general, not just cops, people in general who kill each other. And we can do our best and we should do our best. But the bottom line is we're not going to be able to stop that entirely happening. But what does matter to me is that these cops are being, and that happened and was going to happen regardless of these riots. Now you want to talk about whether these riots are a good thing or a bad thing. Well, I would strongly disagree that these riots are actually going to decrease police shootings, because actually they're putting police in a tough position where they're getting extremely violent with police. So for starters, I'm not sure that there could be police shootings directly caused by these riots. But also, if you want to talk indirectly, well, the utter destruction of these businesses and these neighborhoods is going to make poverty worse in that area. And we saw this in Los Angeles in the 1990s, riots, and we're going to see it again in Minneapolis. And what is going to happen is when poverty gets worse in a minority neighborhood, crime will go up. When crime goes up in a minority neighborhood, these killings and police shootings will go up, because the more crime there is, the more police shootings there are. That's a statistical reality, and it logically makes sense. It's basic fact. So I would not agree whatsoever that these riots are in any way productive or really doing anything. And I would actually disagree even that these riots are intended to do anything. I think when I look at what is going on, what I do not actually see a bunch of, I do see some protesters, but what I see mainly in these videos of the riots are simply opportunists who saw the killing of George Floyd as an opportunity to steal crap and light crap and fire instead of people who are legitimately trying to protest against police brutality. And I don't think that destroying your local community and destroying the businesses of your local area and destroying other fellow civilians' property does anything.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what's making sense. Now I get you, because some people will be affected even though they haven't done anything wrong. That's the only problem I also have with whatever is happening right now. Because yeah, some people will get the business destroyed, and it's even worse because of COVID-19 also is happening. Yeah, for that point you're right. And the thing is, every time when there is violence, I mean, what I'm saying is, when people go crazy and then they're gonna be doing bad things around, there's always, I don't know, some business going bad about it. And yeah, that one you're right. I have nothing more to say about it. You're making sense here. For that one is true. Oh yeah. I get your point. But from what I've seen, when I watched your video at the first time, I didn't get it like that. Because to me, you didn't sound like you sounded like you just not okay with the people destroying without getting. Now I get your point. Now your point makes more sense, because yes, some business will get destroyed, some people will get much more affected. They might even lose their job, house and stuff, because they literally burning stuff. They're doing bad things. And yeah, that one is right. That one makes sense.
Yeah. So my basic premise is essentially that these riots, and just from a we can talk about whether or not it's moral to riot and destroy things, but from a purely practical standpoint, it is actually doing more harm than good when you destroy your local community. That doesn't help your local community. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't help. And okay, wait, let me ask you this.
Okay.
How did you expect them to react and make it work? Because think about this. They've been reacting. I'm sure some people have been reacting well. They've been just being on social media. Hashtag doesn't hurt anyone, right? It doesn't burn buildings. So they've been doing that. That didn't work. So long, it didn't make any efficient results. So how did you expect them to react?
Well, again, as I said in the beginning of this debate, it actually did produce efficient results, because the second this went viral on social media, the federal government got involved. All 4 cops were fired. 2 days later, the cop that did this was arrested.
No, wait.
It only took that long.
Okay, go ahead. Actually, the cops get only fired. They didn't get. Apparently, I heard like that one is actually going to jail. Apparently, because of those people have been being violent. That's why this is happening. Before, they were just fired, nothing else. That's why I'm telling you. You should see why it's being good for them, because now they're being violent. They're being more responsive. Before all these burning buildings and stuff, they just got fired, nothing else.
No, but before burning buildings, there was already an active criminal investigation into them. That's what I'm telling you. Is that this same process that is happening now would have happened regardless of whether or not. Sorry. So same process would have happened regardless of whether or not there was violence, because before the riots had even really started, there was already a federal investigation into the incident. And you can see what happened. I mean, it was basically common sense. Everyone knew that the guy was going to get arrested. I'm sure the other 3 cops are going to get charged with negligence or being the bystander of a crime, whatever. But I fundamentally, I'm trying to tell you that it didn't. These riots did not actually help. And just the fact that people were sharing this video on social media did actually get the federal government. It brought the attention of the federal government, because the federal government doesn't know what happens in every city every day. But as soon as this went viral on social media, the president of the United States saw it, the federal government saw it, and they immediately got involved in the issue. So I think, firstly, to say that activism on social media doesn't do anything, that's not true. It absolutely did something. But on top of that, I still think that considering everything that has transpired here, there is no excuse to not act like a civilized person who doesn't go and destroy stuff. And there are a lot of people who are legitimately very angry about this, and they understand that acting violent in this fashion is not the answer.
Yeah, makes sense.